honest. Gail came up to me and said, how does it taste? I'm like, tastes great. She goes, it's been sitting out for a while.
You know, I was wondering, because I think Trudy brought it out the other day.
Yeah,
Almost from
so,
leftover Halloween.
so good. I thought so too.
It's
And I
fine.
drink a full cup, so we'll let you know. if it wasn't there.
You know, it might be a moving experience.
I had some thing of organic cider in the refrigerator when we left,
It's still okay.
and I assumed after 3.5 weeks, it would be, you know, I
Good
didn't
stuff.
need my glass of wine. It tastes absolutely this, and it's organic.
You put some yeast and
Call
raisins
to
and sugar in it.
Madam Chair.
What?
Put some sugar, yeast and raisins in it, wait till it's bubbly.
Okay, gonna call this meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please, Jennifer?
Commissioner O'Rourke,
Here,
Commissioner Ross,
Here.
Commissioner Elder.
Here.
All present.
Can we stand and pledge allegiance? A moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I believe we need to approve this agenda.
and you have a modification, right?
Yes.
And that is where?
Under Sheriff Kiesel has asked if we would put at 5C,
Okay.
a position discussion about a temporary, an overlap of, as the administrative assistant has resigned or retired. And we would like to talk about how we're gonna fill that position and how we might be able to best serve that department. So can we put that at 5C?
Okay, motion to approve as modified.
Support. Any other additions or changes that we want to make? Okay, so we have an agenda, thank you.
I need a vote.
Oh, please, all in favor? Say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried, we have an agenda. So we have a yellow copy of our minutes, and we also were sent those out. They are quite lengthy minutes, so I did read every word. And I do not have any additions or changes, corrections. Can I get a motion to approve these, or?
Laurel, on the agenda, they put that under action item. I mean, typically we
They
would do
number
it now,
one,
but they moved it down to action item for some
yeah.
reason,
Should be the
so.
public comments,
Oh, I'm
actually.
sorry.
No, that's okay. You are correct, that's usually, but
Okay,
it'll be a little bit later now.
okay,
For public comment.
okay. If anyone has any public comment, we welcome it. Thank you. There'll be an opportunity at the end of the meeting also, so we welcome your comments at that point. Any commissioner comments?
Yes.
No, thank you. Okay, now can we look at the agenda or the minutes to be approved? Can I get a motion to approve these minutes?
I would move to approve the minutes of October 10th, 2023.
Or
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Aye. So carried. Minutes are accepted. Okay. Number 2 on our agenda is just for me to help share my conversations with the employees that was offered to them again on October 30th. And I was overwhelmed by the response of our fine staff here that took the time to meet with me and share some very thoughtful and passionate thoughts that they have been holding on, and we're very grateful for the opportunity for listening here. I think it should be followed up with more conversations of this type. And so I extend an invitation to both of my fellow committee members here to maybe do a similar listening session in the near future, just to make sure that we are offering this opportunity to dialogue and get to know our employees on a regular basis. So that would be my hope. I did provide this committee with a summary of what I learned. I really struggled, again, as this is one of the first duties I had as the chair of the Personnel Committee, how to share that information with the rest of the staff, but I tried to highlight some of the commonalities that were being raised repeatedly, and then also not to forget some of the lone voices that had concerns that I felt need to be addressed. This is all information that I want to share with everyone in the hopes that we can find a path forward to address some of these concerns in a positive way. I have also shared some of the personal letters that were given to me in an email to both of you, and my promise to the staff was that I would get back with them and ask them to hold me accountable for taking action on these conversations. So I don't expect everybody to be able to digest this information immediately. There's quite a bit to think about and possibly to have follow-up conversations with, but again, I think the biggest fault I could have is not following up on this. So I really am looking for your support in taking these words seriously and seeing what we can do to make it a more positive building environment for all. So I would ask that we not what's the word, worry about taking this too quickly, though. I just think it's should be a thoughtful process. So please take your time in reading these over, but please do it in a thorough manner. So I also was given some information that was shared with Chair Wessel last September, and I guess from comparing what was learned September 15th, 2022 and what was shared with me on October 30th, is that our biggest challenge is acting positively. So you've got all that information, and I encourage you guys to look it over, and I would like it to stay in the Personnel Committee for a little bit until we have a recommendation on what we need to do as a full board.
So obviously everything is kept confidential, no names on it.
There is one name on it that it was okay, I believe that
Okay.
person's name was on it.
And then do we assign priorities to any of the letters
I don't
or any
know,
of the concerns?
I have not assigned a priority to them, but
I mean, it's something, just jumps out at you. I read your notes to us and I thought it was fantastic. Doc's place to work, and our greatest thing is the employees. We just have to be careful not to, well, like you said, go into a risk. Okay.
so I think next step again is to continue the dialogue and not just make it a conversation between me and the employees, but this whole committee, as I've already asked. I think the survey that we're going to be speaking of next is again just another step forward in positive change. I really think that we need to respond to the employees sooner than that. You can just get out a secondary email. And so what I'd like to do is share my summary, and I have a few conversations that still need to take place. So I'll be adding to that summary list, share that with the employees, and then maybe with their help, if we think some sort of prioritizing is necessary, maybe we can help that process start even before the survey is done. So my thought is to take the summary, send it back to the employee, all the staff, ask for their input, and then maybe have another opportunity to either have dialogue together with the staff or individually as members of this committee. But I still think I need to hear from more staff. I believe I've spoken to 35 people out of 123, so it's good representation, but I think I have a lot more, I think we have a lot more to do, so. So my suggestion for a plan forward would be to offer this first summary to the employees and then ask for those who haven't been able to connect with one of us, not just me. See if we can get some more voices and ahead of this survey, just because I think we can't wait and not listening to them.
So, I'm sorry, did you just say we should wait on the survey until?
No,
we talk to
no.
more people?
No, I think the survey, we need to make a decision on that, but I still think we need to continue this dialogue in-house, just offering our ear for anyone who needs someone to listen to them. So, but I think I need help. I don't think it should just be me. I would appreciate, both of you to offer a listening period so that more employees can feel comfortable coming forward.
It doesn't have to be a one-on-one. I mean, I'll be glad to meet with you and do that, or with all three of us, but I'll be glad to meet with you and of course, just to issue with some employee.
Yeah,
I think it should be one.
just one committee member with us, staff.
I disagree.
If I may, we may find that based on recommendations from the specialists that are here to talk about the surveys, they may have a perspective too on, since we had the opportunity to meet with two of the commissioners, perhaps doing the survey might be the next step, and then having a kind of an opportunity for all staff to come in and hear the results of that. So I would just ask respectfully that everyone keep an open mind on what the best process might be based on what their recommendations are. But I appreciate very much the time that's been offered to meet with the employees. I've not been privy to what all those responses are, so certainly look forward to an opportunity for us to move forward into positive.
I guess I'd like to say, Commissioner O'Rourke, the only reason I say that is I've heard from some employees that they're not comfortable speaking in group because of repercussions. So they will talk one-on-one, but they're uncomfortable with it.
I would love to address repercussions. Policy, the county board can do a lot of things. They can reverse letters of reprimand, they can work that way, they can do a whole bunch of stuff. Anybody that gets reprimanded or threatened in this courthouse, that's forever.
I know, but a
I
lot of that
wouldn't hide
stuff
it.
that they're talking about is not something you can, it's not anything that overt,
No,
that you can write a letter of reprimand. That's just, I've heard that from several. That's the reason I say it.
Right, you're just hiding the problem.
Well, we can do all of the above. And I'm open to that, if that's the agreement of the group. I guess I just feel like, yes, the survey is gonna happen. I do believe on that, but I think, maybe we could identify a day in November before the survey could possibly start, just to offer another listening session. But again, I don't think it should just be me. I know they wanna hear, I know they wanna meet with other people too, so other commissioners. So maybe we'll come up with the dates, offer another listening session with everybody.
I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that, okay, okay.
I mean, if you have one, I'll go, but I'm very willing to do one-on-ones.
That's what I meant, yeah.
One-on-ones,
yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah. No, that's, I think, the best way forward with this. So I just want to offer to employees that haven't had the chance yet, also, they can still get in on this early conversations with us, that we are always here for them, so. So that's pretty much all I wanted to share with that at this point. I will be sharing what we've learned with the entire board too, obviously, but I do believe in this committee structure, and I do want this committee to feel empowered to make positive change and bring a solid recommendation to the full board. So, okay, so I think we are ready for our employee survey proposals. They are on page 18, and do we have? Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'll give you a brief little intro to where we are and how we got here. I reached out to several different companies and came up with 2 companies that were willing to provide us with a proposal. The third one out of Traverse City basically said, at this point in time, they're not interested. They don't have the time to work with us on this. But we have Amy Sell out of Ypsilanti, and then we have Michigan Leadership Institute. We have John Scholten here today, and I think they both will talk through their proposals to you and give you some ideas of what they see would be effective, and you guys can go from there and make a decision. So Amy Sell is, I believe, the first one on the agenda.
Okay.
I guess we're being streamed live, and so the clerk's office stated they received calls to please speak into your microphones.
Hi, Amy, how are you?
Great, how are you all today?
Great, thank you for joining us today. We're looking forward to hearing what you have to tell us.
Sure, and it was kind of a good discussion to have before this and to hear what's going on. I mean, I think from what I'm gleaning, there might be opportunities for conflict management support, change management support, and organization development support in terms of really defining how you want people to behave and values and setting expectations. But I think the first part of that is to get a good baseline and a data-driven approach. And so to do that, I'm suggesting a survey where we would provide to you a customized survey that would focus on areas of employee engagement, career development, internal communications, job resources and support to make sure everyone has the tools to be able to be effective in their position, manager effectiveness, as they say, people leave managers, not organizations, so that's a key component. Workplace dynamics, diversity, inclusion, and organizational priorities and alignment. So we would work with our kind of project team to design a survey to assess the aforementioned issues. And out of that, there'd be a mix of quantitative questions as well as open-ended questions so that we could identify and provide recommendations on those areas for opportunity, especially probably around conflict management, change management, and organizational development. We would also review the draft survey questions, launch the survey, analyze and summarize the results, and provide those recommendations and suggestions to make a positive impact that could touch on policies, practices, job structure, organization structure, training, and any other area that impacts the employee experience. And we would, so those would kind of, and it would take us probably approximately 7 weeks to complete the engagement, and I'm happy to kind of take any questions.
What's your earliest availability, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, we can get started right away.
And how long a process again? Can you walk us through that 7 weeks of, is that what you said?
7 weeks of total. So it would take about 2 weeks to make sure that we develop and review the survey questions. Then we would launch the survey. We like to have it be open for about 2 weeks, spanning about 3 weeks. So we, catch people if they're not on vacation, there'd be multiple reminders there. And then it would take us at least a week to kind of summarize and analyze the data and provide that feedback to you.
And in the process of formulating the questions, who would you see working with here at the county?
Whoever would be in the best position. So given the significant amount of energy that's being spent on this activity, there's probably a group of 3 to 5 that would be a good team for us to work with, that would be able to work to kind of confirm and be a good brainstorming group. But definitely on the HR side, but there might be other people that have been involved with some of the employee issues that are here today that might be good resources to be involved with it. So a nice small planning team, I think, would be appropriate.
And have you had many other clients like ours that?
We've had a few clients that have brought us in for different issues. I understand, I have worked with county governments on recruiting engagements, so I do understand kind of the unique dynamics that happen. I've also worked with a few other municipalities where there's been some extreme conflict. And then we've been involved in doing engagement surveys with municipalities that have been more proactive about their process too, looking at DEI, and then evaluating elected officials as well. So we do a lot of fractional HR work that touches on a wide variety of policies and structures and behaviors and conflicts. And we've done some engagement work. So we've touched on a variety of these different areas, but we are our work expands, beyond employee surveys, but it is a component of the whole kind of HR and people management process.
So beyond the survey, if it was identified that we need help with conflict management, what would that look like on your end?
We would try to provide a very strong recommendation for what it should look like. And if we identified, for instance, 2 people that didn't get along, we would try to identify through the data some of the root causes. But a recommendation might be to have a conflict management process with those 2 individuals where there would be additional like a one-on-one meeting with each to try to understand what needs are not being met or where the issues are. Listening comes in handy, identifying root causes, trying to get as much information into that shared pool of knowledge, brainstorming the options, and looking at the different pros and cons of those different options. So it's hard for me to, at this point, understand where the issues specifically are and what the recommendations might be. But a lot of conflict is around, sometimes, conflict can be relatively easier to resolve. Sometimes, it's more difficult. And in cases like that, it's a little bit more of a difficult fix.
I'm trying to get a sense of, the survey would be remote. Would an additional contract ever include on-site work, like the work groups or conflict management groups?
Yeah, yes, we could do something like that. But the survey itself, we felt could be done effectively in a remote environment. In-depth conflict management, if we felt we would be a good fit for that, would be more effective in person.
And so that would be an additional contract.
Yeah,
Yes.
and cost, of course. Okay.
Might be helpful for the commissioners to know that the reference for Amy came from Rotary Charities. So we reached out to them because they have such a vast network. So I think it's helpful just to know that Amy just wasn't plucked out of the sky. She was highly recommended by that entity.
And what qualifications, let's say, we followed up with some on-site work group or conflict management groups. What are the qualifications you or your staff have for that? Do you have social workers? What do you have?
So we have DEI certified professionals. We have one of my team members has a coaching credential. I teach a class where I cover, and I teach on conflict management as one of the components in my faculty position at the University of Michigan. Depending on the level of conflict, as I kind of alluded to, it might be in an area that I will be honest with, might be beyond what I feel I could effectively do. And if, because I do not know exactly what the scenario is. I would hope to find out more about it through the survey. And from there, a recommendation would be, could be some conflict management support. Some, if I felt like it was in an area I could be effective at, I would consider myself, but there could be conflicts where it would be best to hire somebody where this is all they do. In my role of being an HR professional for about 30 years, I've been involved with a wide variety of conflict for a wide variety of reasons. But without knowing more about it, I wouldn't want to prescribe a solution or recommend that I'm the right person at this point too.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions?
I went to UM, so you just
went up. Well, thank you, Amy. I think if we don't have any more questions,
Nope.
we thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. So next we have Michigan Leadership Institute.
Yeah, right here's okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
John was recommended by Chet. Chet is now a member of the Michigan Leadership Institute. I've spent some time talking with him on the phone, and I think you'll get a good perspective from him also.
Aurora, John Skolp, it's been a long time.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you. And I was always on the right side of the wall, wasn't I?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Cameron, nice to meet you as well.
Thank you for coming.
Comments, Gwen?
We're dating ourselves now.
Good to see you, Mr. I was gonna say superintendent.
Been a while.
Been a while.
Nice to see you as well. If commissioners, if you don't mind, I'd like to just kind of give a little bit of an overview of backdrop, and then I'll talk about the proposal. Is that all right? Okay. And at any time, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Just stop me in my tracks. So my background, maybe our background's a little bit different, but probably pretty similar to the proposal you just heard from. Michigan Leadership Institute has been around for quite a few years. It was started, actually initiated by Dr. Tim Quinn. If you remember, Tim Quinn was the president of the college in Traverse City. He left Green Bay, Wisconsin as superintendent of schools. He got that job at a ripe young age of 32, 33 years old, and came over here then and became the president of the college. And he developed the Leadership Institute for a lot of reasons. And it's really served, I think, the state and the Midwest really well over the years. We focus primarily on schools, but we do municipality work as well. I think personally and professionally, there's a lot of parallels between schools and county government. My own personal professional career, of my 37 years in education, 33 of those years were in management, be it building level management from principalships. And my last 23 years, I was superintendent. So I work directly with the board of directors, 7 board members, much like you all have too. Elected officials who help govern multi-million-dollar operations. So I think there's a lot of parallels. I think the plus that we can bring, or I can bring to the table here, is in those 33 years of management, I dealt with a lot of the issues firsthand. I dealt a lot with those issues with board members and employees, be it through negotiations, be it through just everyday life. And I'll talk a little bit about our organization, but I kind of want to just touch a little bit about my background. Having been a manager, having worked with employees for so many years, what you really find the root of a lot of it is about relationships and about how well you can communicate and get along with people. You don't have to always get along perfectly, but you have to be able to understand the root of what that's all about. So I commend you. I think I have a little bit of an advantage because I live up here. I can still subscribe to the Enterprise online at least and follow it. I recently did 2 searches. I helped Glen Lake just get their new superintendent. And I had a nice conversation with Jason before I came over today. Things are going well down there. So I've had experience with the county, 14 years here working in the county. We raised our kids here. It was a beautiful thing. I had that opportunity in 2005 to go to a school district 3 times the size, very similar to Glen Lake, and we chose it. We've missed the county, we really have. Emmett County's not too bad either, but Leelanau is truly a special place. So I really commend you for wanting to move forward in whatever direction you're going to go in, and to get a sense where your people are and get that. I think that third party, that independent read on it is going to be critical for you to have that piece of it. My experiences through time, a lot of times people are hesitant. I know I don't need to get into your discussion unless you want me to, that you had earlier, but they're hesitant to sit and talk directly to a board member or to an employee or employer. They will, but will they really put it out on the table for you? I dare say personally and professionally, not as often. Okay. So I think I commend you that you're going to look at and go down an independent path. And so you have that way in place. So our work as a group, as MLI, has been in place for, like I said, a lot of years. Primarily superintendent searches, working with boards. We do executive coaching. I've had that opportunity to do a lot of that with employees. We do governance workshops, do a lot of that with districts, helping them understand the role that the board has versus the employees. Okay. Strategic planning, I'm pretty intense with that. Community forums, succession planning, negotiation support, climate and building support. You know, I sense what you're dealing with, be it what I read in the Enterprise, what I hear from Chet, what I've kind of observed and heard over the years, really is geared toward climate and culture right now. I've enjoyed that part of the career a lot. I wrote a dissertation on climate and personnel issues, and that's what I did my doctorate work in. Because the key part, what I found and I have experienced those years, is it's about the relationships and how well you all can work together. So the proposal that we put in front of you, we too could start pretty quickly. You dictate that. I've had a lot of conversation with your HR person here, with Darcy, and we'd be willing to go, you know, here in November and get it started. With your goal, with your blessing. We would approach it a little differently. It's very similar to the way that I work with, and my team members, we work with schools when we do superintendent searches. We come in and we do what we call focus groups in addition to the survey. So I would schedule opportunities. I'd work with Darcy and schedule opportunities to meet one-on-one with your employees. We'd schedule them. I'd be here. I've got a little bit of an advantage because I've got a son and a daughter-in-law and 2 grandchildren that live in Traverse City on the west side. So it's pretty close. So opportunities to come down here and spend time with them is a plus. My wife will follow me and spend that time there and say, go up into Leelanau County, have fun. But I think it's really important that your employees have an opportunity to speak to somebody directly. In my proposal, I was pretty blunt with you. You need to give the consultant you work with the opportunity to tell these people anonymity is going to be respected. Now, if they choose to come in and say, I want that board to know that it's Joe Smith that feels this way, that's their pleasure. But I really need to be able to put that out there. If you really want candid and honest feedback, And everything I've read that so far you all have been talking about is what you're looking for. So I'd suggest that way. And then I also realized through experiences that not just in the consulting work in the last 2 or 3 years I've been doing this, but just in my work too, sometimes people have conflicts. It's hard for them to get in. So we too would provide a very similar online experience so they could provide the feedback to us as well. I think the sooner you can move with that feedback, you can get a report back. What we're proposing is we'll bring back the report, the consensus of what's the root of your problem, what kind of issues are you dealing with, and then we would work with you on developing a game plan moving forward. And much like you spoke to the last rep, I think where you go from there is once you see what the root is and what the game plan could or should look like, then it's your decision. How far do you want to go with it and where do we go with it? It's a little premature to really guess right now. Is it conflict resolution? Is it whatever? But I don't feel intimidated by any means, approaching this to see that I don't think the experiences I would hear about are going to be a whole lot different than I've heard about in the last 35 years. So I'd be able to bring that to you with ideas and directions of where you should go with it. But I think you're going to have a second action plan that's going to come out once the study's completed, once the information's there. And then as a Board of Commissioners, you're going to have to determine, are we ready and willing to move forward with this and commit to it? And that's how you'll change a culture and that's how you change a climate. But everybody's got to be on board. If groups of you aren't on board and you're going to snip at each other, it's not going to be worth your effort. And I wouldn't suggest you even step forward with it. But if you're committed to saying we really want to have an impact on the culture and the climate here, then let's get after it. What I'm hearing is it's not really about dollars and cents. It's not really about working conditions. That's why I'm jumping to the conclusion. It's probably about how they feel about the job. It's not, I'm not paid enough necessarily. Everybody wants to get paid more. They want more vacation time, but I don't think that's your issue that you're dealing with. So the study's going to help you come out with what's the root of it? What do we have to address? And how do we get after it and make a difference? I really think that the time face-to-face is critical. The third party, the independent person that can bring that survey information with the anonymity being, real, that it's going to be there, that you're not going to pressure the consultant to say, who said that? It's not fair. I can't get you that information you need if we go about it that way. So I think time-wise, we probably could move this thing forward. I know Thanksgiving's going to fall into this and it's going to be a little tricky there, but my suggestion is that we get together what the questions are going to be, get the online survey together. I'd work very closely with your HR department, be my guess, unless you directed me differently on that, and get that survey together. The questions are really going to be about 3 different things. They're going to be about, let's cut right to it. What are the challenges that you face coming to work? What are you struggling with? Okay. But I also want to hear, what are they proud of? What do they really enjoy about being a county employee? Because you need to see both sides of that, because you know what? This is a great place to live and work and play. Okay. You provide great opportunities for employees here. Let's hear that. And then the third thing I would probe on face-to-face as well as the online survey would be, what specifically do you feel is critical that I bring back to the commissioners, that they hear this? So we give them that opportunity. That you may get some outliers. You may have some things that are just way out in left field, but you give them those opportunities to talk about the challenges, talk about the positives, and then what's the most critical thing or two that those commissioners need to hear from this consultant. So it sounds pretty simple, but that's the way we do it, and we get good results, and we can bring that information. Then you can build with us a plan how you move forward to hopefully have a positive impact on where this culture is right now. I retired 4 years ago. And I've been doing this consulting work now for the 3rd year. I took a full year of real retirement and decided to get back in. I've enjoyed helping out and being a part of it. I'd enjoy working with you folks in Leelanau County. I think the sooner you can get moving on it, we could be ready to roll, and then probably bring the report back to you the first of the year, with a plan. I know the holidays are going to be a challenge, but those are my ideas on it right now. So I babbled a lot. Well, I think the other thing that's kind of been up in discussion and conversation, John, are you too close to it? You lived here for 14 years. James O'Rourke, I don't think ever arrested me or pulled me over or anything, but he probably came to the school on a couple occasions, right? we always felt the support was really good here. But I've been gone for almost 20 years. I took the liberty on if your website's up to date, and I just went through all your employees, 123 of them. To be honest with you, I recognize about 2 people. I recognize common names, but no idea who they are. So I really feel I could be a pretty independent person that wouldn't be connected to people in this county that are your employees. Questions you have?
So just to confirm, you would do a survey, but you would also do focus groups.
Focus groups would be using what I would do if I was asked to do this would be, I would use the same questions that the online survey would have with them. So Gwen, if you and I were sitting in that room, I'd be asking you the same things. I'd jot notes and I'd listen intently. That's what you need right now.
With groups and with individuals?
I wouldn't do it groups. I really feel it needs to be one-on-one. I know you get the best results if I do a one-on-one. When you bring a group of people together, I don't care if they've worked together for 15 years. Some of them have more dominance over the others, and some will speak up, some won't. But one-on-one, they're much more comfortable. From my personal and professional experience, that's the best way to do it. So that's why I'm committed and willing to say I'll spend the time here that it would take to get that. I'm encouraged, that you had 35 people you've seen already. I heard, I don't know Ty, I know of him, but I guess he had a meeting a year ago and he had a pretty good turnout too. So I'm encouraged that you could get the people out to come speak. So.
Do you have a general, like, what percentage? I mean, not everybody's gonna participate, right? But
No,
do you have a pretty good idea of like 80%? Is that
no, that might be a little, well, I think we can get close to everybody participating, but
some?
in person, probably not 80%. I bet we could get 50 to 60% easily in person and then push the others to do the online part.
So it's all confidential, but we do get the number. I mean, how many?
What we would do is, much like we do in our other ones, is I'll make sure everybody understands that what they say is going to be shared. I like to provide, a summary and break it through, but then I also, if it works out that way, I'd like to provide exactly what they said so you can read it. Now, I want to caution people though, because, if they want anonymity, which I think most of them do, that they don't get so specific that, yep, O'Rourke can read that and say, I know exactly who that is, but if they don't care and they want that, they're going to do it anyway. So, but I really think getting to the root of what the real issue is going to be critical for you. And that's phase 1. And then phase 2 is going to be, now when you've got a pretty good sense of what the root issues are, what are you going to do to make them better? It's going to be a process and it's going to take time. I can't offer you, and I don't think anybody can offer you a silver bullet that's going to say it's going to fix it right away. But if you commit to it and you spend the time and they can see as employees that you're genuine and you want to make this happen, I pretty well will guarantee you that you see positive results out of it. We watched it in Petoskey. You probably don't read the news up there, but we went through this with my successor that didn't fit in so well up there. And we brought in somebody that did the survey of the employees, and they had probably close to 100% of, that's 300 or 400 employees that wanted to respond. So I follow a pretty similar format. Just keep it simple. What is it you're looking for, and you probe. So you do some, not to overdo this survey type stuff, but the quantitative part is the numbers part where you can say what percentage of your employees feel this way. Would be things like, is the climate fractured right now? That's a yes, no answer. So you can get things like that. And that helps you to know that 80% of them feel it is. But what do you do with that? The qualitative part, the probing, the open-ended questions, you're going to get more, okay, this is a real sense of where they are at in their feelings and their commitment to this. And then that's what you can work with to say, how can we improve that? And that's where this consultant would then be able to help you with ideas and kind of put a plan in place. But then really, honestly, then that's the next phase that happens after that, to say, how do you hold hands and make sure you work through this process? And that could look at it could go a lot of different directions. I think you got to get the data and you got to see what it looks like first.
So if there is a next step, which probably needs to be, would you be doing that?
I would be capable of that, but let's get the details first. I don't want to commit and say, yeah, I am, but I think, yeah, I just think the parallels from the work I did for 37 years are pretty similar to what you're dealing with. And I also have other resources that if I'm stuck with it, I can reach out to other colleagues within our firm as well.
And in the process of starting the questions and stuff, do you need input from us, or you said you've been speaking with Darcy?
I've been speaking with Darcy. I guess I'd want direction there. Her title is HR director, right? She's your HR person. This is an HR issue, human resources. She's given me enough insight. I've asked a lot of questions and she's been really helpful about climate, culture, and then I've kind of given her my 2 cents and she seems to say, yep, that's spot on or where we're at. So I feel that I probably would work pretty closely with her on it. And then I don't know, I think where we'd have to be, we get into a relationship that if we make it where it's the board's decision to write the questions, it's not your job. You hire an outside person to do that, or a firm to do that. Let us put that together. We'll find out what the issues are.
I think people they will talk to you a lot more than someone in-house. They don't do perfectly, as long as they know the whole thing. Go ahead with it. You said you read the Leelanau Enterprise. Have you been following the?
I've been following the Leelanau Enterprise. Yes, I have.
It's hard to interview past employees.
Yeah. But I'm also not going to make a judgment based on what I've just read in the newspaper.
Of course not.
I bent Chet's ear a little bit. I've listened to him a little bit, and he'd probably be a pretty good resource, for historical of what's going on. If we're going to work together, I just would want a commitment that would say, you're willing to, number one, get the report. That's the easy part. Then the harder part, the more challenging parts. Now, here's what the report says. Now, let's get a game plan in place. Let's get a plan in place. Let's get have a positive impact on the climate and the culture. I don't think you're broken. I think you're fractured right now is my gut sense. But I think it's two-way. It's you all wear it to a degree and your employees wear it. So bring them together, make it work. And I think it would be exciting, be fun, rewarding work. So doesn't mean it'll be easy. It's just, but I commend you once again in closing. You got to do it. So whichever direction you go in, I think the sooner you can do that third party independent person come in, the better you can get that information and then move forward.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
We move on to the topic. I'd just like to say that this idea was brought to us by Trudy Gal and Under Sheriff Kiesel. I think I'd like to ask that we're okay asking for them to chime in on this and be part of our decision making. I just feel like I think they represented the employees and coming to us as a board with this issue, and I would value their input on behalf of employees. So as we go forward, have some conversations.
Yeah, and what are we gonna do? Are we going to come to, we need to make a recommendation to the board.
We do.
So
But
we're gonna wanna recommend one of these firms, I would
I
assume.
don't know if we need to do that today, do we, or can
Well, the
we?
meeting's next week.
Okay. Well, can we have that conversation right now? I mean, I've asked Trudy to be here, and I know she's very busy, and I appreciate you figuring out being in the room, but again, we're talking about an employee, so I just feel like making a decision without hearing at least.
Well, they can chime in.
Is this an appropriate time to do that? Sure. Okay. Would you mind chiming in, Trudy, or?
Well, let me start by just stating, in response to something you said, Kim, is that I don't want to be involved in the decision-making part of this. Thank you. There was some comment there.
I want your input. Is that a better way to say it?
Sure.
Okay.
First, thank you for taking this step. We appreciate that the board took it seriously to do a survey by a third-party independent company that would get the feedback from employees. And, I've been here for quite a few years and I saw what was going on, and it seemed like that might be a way to allow the employees to speak freely and give their honest input, and then you can do what you want with it. Both of these firms, I really appreciated what they had to say and what they had to offer. Both very professional. They bring something different to the table. Both of them do. I liked the idea of the follow-up of not just getting the survey, but continuing to move on from there and do something with that data. So I'm glad, and I think the employees are also glad that you're doing this. Everyone who works here, you know, I've talked to many of them and they really enjoy working here. That's not the problem. They love their work. They love their job. They want some change. They want things to be better.
I echo what Trudy has said. Like I said, when we first brought this to the board, I mean, between Trudy and I, there's over 60 years of county experience.
You keep throwing that number out.
Well, you're now, unfortunately, Trudy's leaving and, you know, it'll be a great loss. I too commend the board for following through. I think it's something that needs to be done. It needs to be independent. What I hope is when the final report or whatever it is comes out, that it's probably, it could be good, it could be bad. Whatever it is, I hope it's followed. If they make recommendations, they see a problem, they see that it's fractured, that we figure out how to fix it. Because it's not the same place now that it was 10 years ago. We didn't come forward because we thought it was. We thought there was a problem. So I hope it's followed through. And I hope we can see it to the end, not just get the report, but use the report for positive change.
And one approach seems pretty far removed from the problem. Yes, as I'm sitting here trying to think about which way we should go, I'm very much attracted to the more hands-on approach of our second proposal. I just worry that just a survey is not gonna really get to the meat of it. But that's just after I spent a day and a half listening to employees. I mean, I think that personal ability to talk with a third person is so much more powerful, and I think we'll gain so much more information. Are you in agreement with me on that? I mean, or do you think we can get the information on an online survey from our employees?
Well, looking at it from the perspective of a planner, if you're doing a survey for your community, that's only the first step. You're going to get the data, you're going to move in the steps to change a master plan or develop a master plan, do your zoning ordinance and so on and so forth. So if a community only did the survey and stopped, that's interesting information, but you haven't done anything. So I think it is important, and I hope the board would agree to do something past the survey.
I too think that the second proposal, both of them, would be excellent. And I appreciate somebody from U of M making it a proposal. The hands-on piece is extremely important. And so the fact that he will be doing both, you know, one of the hardest things about being a commissioner is we feel like we're walking this tightrope. We see needs and we feel like we can't spend money. It's such a conundrum because we are trying to be so careful with the citizens' money, and we have such a tight budget. But I don't see how we cannot do this. So it is an investment in the future of our employees, which are our greatest asset. So I would encourage us to support the second proposal because he can be also here talking with people. And that's important. Any thoughts?
Now, the Michigan Leadership Institute is quite a bit more than the other one. Comes out to $52.80.
The higher price.
Yeah, the higher price, yeah. I've known Mr. Schulten for years and these spaces. And like to follow up, anybody can have a survey. You gotta have a follow up. You gotta have, And, you know, I'm gonna suggest that we agree on Michigan Leadership Institute, to go ahead and recommend it to the board. The only nice thing about that is we have Mr. Russell in the audience today, and he could tell us why we shouldn't do that. But he has no authority right now, okay? So I'm just, let's make a recommendation to the board that we go with the Michigan Leadership Institute.
I would second that. All in favor?
All right,
Aye. Very much.
Thank you.
thanks.
Now.
Yeah, where does that money come from?
We'll figure that out for the EDS for the meeting.
That's good.
Yeah. The next thing on your agenda is just a quick update from Lou
Okay.
Walters, our rep for Blue Cross Blue Shield. Thought you could use something positive.
That is good news. Yeah.
Thanks for being here, Lou.
This is new. I've been doing this 20 years. This is new. I guess new is good. One of the things that I brought out to Deb and a couple of the others, Darcy, was the renewal that you guys are facing with Blue Cross Blue Shield this year. And normally, for the first 15 years, I just made an assumption you weren't going to make any changes because the news was good. Then it dawned on me a couple of years ago, oh, maybe somebody ought to say, yes, we're not going to do anything, or we are going to do something. And now we have this committee. So you're being kind of informed a little early to what the whole board is going to hear in a week or so. Oh, yeah, whatever. So 2 weeks, 3 weeks, anyway. We have a self-funded plan here. And the self-funded plan requires that all of our employees participate, help, do the things that are necessary to make this thing keep doing what it's doing. We are literally at the same cost per employee we were 15 years ago. Yep, we are going to, we came in under this year from our expected by $344,000. So.
Does that mean you're giving us a check?
No,
That would be nice.
if I get 10%, I'll work on it. But yeah, part of the reason that it's such a big number is the last couple of years, because we didn't know what was going to happen. We've been using Blue Cross's numbers. I've done this so long, I don't use their numbers anymore. I know what the real world is more like. But we did get caught a little bit. We've gone from $285,000 a year in drugs to $608,000. So we've looked at a couple of programs to help save some money. I picked all the free ones so far. I picked all of the ones that did not require your employees to have to do something. Because one of the reasons this thing works so well is every year we go to the employees and say, as long as you keep helping voluntarily, we will not put you into involuntary programs. So what it turns out is you have an extremely educated populace for employees. They know the language, they know what it means, and they have helped enormously. A couple of things they can't help with is drug costs. They're going up and up and up and up. They're doing a great job at using generics. We're at like 88%, which is way over average because they know what this means. When they're running into big bills, they do call us and we talk through how to do it, what to do, and if there's alternatives. So the good news is this plan is better than any plan in the state. You have a health plan for your employees that doesn't exist anywhere but here. You're in your own bubble, so what they do out there doesn't affect you anymore. We took a lot of the drug potential off your plate a few years ago. We added it to the stop loss. So right now, when an employee has $20,000 worth of cost, you're done with him and his family or her and their family. Goes over in the stop loss pool. So you have $1 million claim here, it's 20 grand. What?
What does that mean? I go into the stop loss pool.
It means that we reinsured you to protect you from large claims. Now, the real world out there, quote unquote, most people have $125,000 to $250,000 stop loss. And they do it because it lowers their hard cost, their stop loss premium. Okay. What do you guys care about? Saving your budget. That's it. You don't care about hard costs. You don't care about soft costs. You don't care about anything other than you do not want to have to write a check for $1 million at the end of the year because somebody had a large claim or several. Okay. So you are 180 degrees from the rest of the world. You have an extremely low stop loss. Nobody else in the state has it, and they can't get it anymore. They keep threatening to take it away from me, but I fight hard. I know the certificate exists, so as long as it exists, I use it, and you use it. So what that stop loss number is the most you can lose on any one contract cost. So
They're still covered.
oh yeah, they're covered, but the cost to pay those bills for them doesn't come out of your checkbook anymore. It comes out of the insurance company's checkbook. Okay. Now the Blues happen to run their own stop loss company. It's well over $1 billion. So it's stable. And you guys right now are contributing quite a bit of money to it. Because we have the last couple of years not had real big claims here, which is kind of fun. Because there's a figure in here that, I don't know, you've probably never heard this one, MLR, medical loss ratio. What they do is they take and do a running 3-year average on how much money you put into or take out of the stop loss pool. Okay. If you put money into it, your medical loss ratio goes down, which means in the end, your stop loss costs will go down. Okay. If you're taking a bunch of money out of it, it averages out over 3 years. So you didn't get whacked in one big year. And eventually your stop loss premium goes up. So right now we're putting money into the pool. So over the next, we'll see the result in the next year or two, where it will probably start pulling down the stop loss cost. But in the end, it still comes back to you don't care. All I worry about when I do your numbers, when I look at and when I make recommendations to you guys is how do we hold the line at the budget? That's all I care about. If we come in under budget, hey, good deal. If you come in over budget, really don't care that much either, because it self-corrects itself. You don't get hit with that money like they are out there. I'm seeing 33% rate increases. Can you imagine a 33% rate increase on a $2 million bill?
So do we get credit for being more?
You do not.
Go over next year, we got that.
No, they don't care about you at all.
So our renewal is gonna be the same.
Basically, the renewals, when we look at them, the only thing, you know, it was so funny. When Ty came in, he was like, wait a minute, our costs went up this year. Well, they did. You guys added 6 people. The individual cost, the contract cost stayed the same, but we had to add almost $80,000 to the budget because we had 6 people come on. Well, you've gone from 82 to, we're coming real close to 100 and something now. So we've added people, which has added a little cost, but at the bottom number, you guys are doing great.
That's great to hear. Thanks for sharing with us first.
Yep. So the reason that we talked about doing this is because I have employee meetings come up. We get together with as many as will show up, and we get a pretty good return. We're over 50, maybe 60, 70% sometimes. Yeah, when we did this originally, it was mandatory. Everybody had to come. But they kind of took that out of their, I don't know, union something, I don't know. But anyway, they do come, they do listen. And one of the things I have to tell them is if there's going to be any changes. So you guys were included in the loop on making the decision to not add any cost out of their paychecks. Because when this started, they were contributing. That went away because the costs just didn't go up. The other thing is the way you control costs out there is you change their plan. I'd say the average right now, the average deductible out there is somewhere around $2,500. Okay, yours is 200. Average cost out there for total cost is around $7,500 deductibles and co-insurance. Yours is 600. So it's all good. All right.
So the recommendation from the committee then in essence would be to maintain the status quo, but there's a potential small increase that we talked about in terms of that'll be coming probably in December. In terms of that is the recommendation that you would be coming, I think, to the board in December for, but you're saying you need to start meeting with employees for their renewals.
Right, before the board, yep.
Okay.
So
it could be, we need to move this up then until November to now.
well,
I know.
I guess there's,
You're a hunter too.
well.
14, 20, tricky.
yeah, no, that's not a problem. The thing that we're, I guess, looking for here is somebody to just say, yep, we're not changing anything because there's no need to.
Yep, we're not changing anything.
Support.
Did you need it?
Yeah, that's what I needed. Yep, yep. So,
Yeah,
We
thank you
got
so
it.
much.
yeah,
Yes, thank you.
well, thank you guys.
I don't think the personnel committee would do real well to come out with a, no, we need to make it more expensive. People need.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're in good shape.
Yeah, they would be real interested to know how you were gonna do that. But yeah, for right now, I see this year going well with MLR. We're looking at it next year. I'm thinking we're gonna do pretty well again. So,
That's excellent news. Thank you so much for sharing.
okay, all right.
So if you choke out, I save you, we save money, right?
Yes, we do.
Be less cost. Right?
So now we're
It's
on to
gonna
our
hurt, let me tell you.
staffing levels request, first from the planning director.
All right. Okay.
Hi. So next week on your executive agenda, you're going to see that I'm going to be coming to you, to the full board with your support, I hope, to have a temporary staffing level increase for the planning director position. Because as you know, Trudy is leaving us as of the 30th of November. She will still be using vacation time, so she'll be working a little bit from home, helping with the transition. But that leaves us 3 weeks to try to figure out something to make the program run as well as it has been for all of these years that Trudy's been here. So with your support, I just would like to go to the executive board and request that we have temporary staffing approved from as soon as possible through the middle of January when Trudy officially retires.
So temporary staffing,
We will have Trudy still on payroll, but because she's on payroll as the planning director, we can't hire anyone without your approval.
oh, so we need to work on that. So are we going to elevate someone in her department, or are we gonna go out for a new position?
We're looking at the options at this point. I don't know if you
What is
want,
our planning directors?
Well, I can tell you, since that's the role of HR director and the administrator, we have already accepted, we posted the position, we've accepted resumes for that, so we're starting the interview process. With it, you know, we're already making phone calls, phone interviews. We have kind of some thoughts in mind, but we want to see how things progress, but we anticipate moving that as quickly as we can so that there is a cross-training or a training opportunity. So that's where this comes in. If we are hiring someone to replace her and having a training opportunity, we need to get this approval to have the overlap. And we've done that when we had an
we've done it.
administrator, or we've had court, you know, in the courts, we've done it throughout history, if you will. So it's just kind of providing that overlap for staffing in this transition
And
period.
did you give it a time? You said 8 weeks?
it will be through the middle of January. I believe Trudy's official retirement date is somewhere around the 16th of January.
You looking at 36 hours a week, or what are you looking?
It would be 35 hours at the director's rate, but it would, most likely, we're going to bring in a director at a lower rate than what Trudy is currently at.
I would hope so.
It would be hard to fill those shoes.
So we won't know that until we hire the person. So if we have them up to, that certainly covers any flexibility that we needed within the department.
So, do you need a recommendation to move this forward to next week's meeting?
There are, I think, 3 different
Or can
same
we,
scenarios, so maybe we get through all 3.
Yeah.
And it may be the committee's recommendation to make that 3 to, you know, to the board.
Okay, good.
That sounds,
That makes
Okay.
sense, yeah.
So
Thank you.
The second one, of course, is the executive assistant.
she's leaving on January, or what?
Her intent is to be, her last day in the office would be December 8th.
Okay.
She does so much for us, and there's also big shoes to fill there, and we're going to need to get someone in as quickly as we can to get them on board with what needs to be done with planning for the meetings and of just all the, so much.
Question, you've been advertising, interviewing people, or meeting someone?
Yes,
it's been out there all
it is posted,
We've not done
but we
any
can't hire
transition.
anyone until you approve that additional staffing.
So is there a maximum amount of time though? I mean, I guess I'm kind of confused on how much of an overlap you're anticipating or you're asking for.
There is no county policy on the use of vacation time. She has earned the vacation time, so she has the right to use it. We've never had a policy that said you can't extend your stay in the county. So she's looking at March, beginning of March.
so I'm glad you are searching. I hate to see her go. Because, yeah, she has so much knowledge.
But we obviously
But
can't.
yes, we need, yes, yeah, let's push forward on it, right?
So how much do you need from us? Just go for it?
I think that will, yeah, that will take care of it.
I would move that we
Well,
go for it.
what's CEDO again? Explain that to us a little bit. Thank you, Edward.
So C is in the sheriff's office. We've been notified that our administrative secretary is retiring effective April 19th. And although that is a long ways away, that individual has been here 20 plus years. She is absolutely the hub of the administrative part of the sheriff's office. She does reports, she does stats, she does state reporting. On and on and on. And I, nor anybody in that office can train her replacement other than the person who's leaving. So we need one-on-one training, person to person, as long as we can get it. So ideally, I would not bring somebody in until the first of the year, which then gives them 3.5 months with not including vacations or anything to actually not only go over the day-to-day, but the month-to-month, the year-to-year, everything that needs to happen. We've done this too in the jail. We've done it on the road. Those are different circumstances because when an employee leaves, obviously we have mandatory staffing. So there's overtime issues where we try to train beforehand. Losing the administrative secretary is a whole new ballgame, but I mean, literally myself, the lieutenants, the sheriff, we can't replicate what that secretary does. She's got institutional knowledge, state rules, state reporting, criminal reporting, like stats to the FBI and that stuff that we can't teach the new person. This secretary knows it. She's done it for 20 years and she's the only one that can pass it on.
Is there a job description on it, Jim? Or-
Darcy and I are aware of one. We're not sure how up to date it is, but you know, so I haven't done anything yet. Technically, I wrote the EDS for December, saw the agenda for this meeting and said, okay, it's a new process in how we're doing things. Therefore, that's why I asked for the amendment to come to you guys first.
You need 3 months of trade overlap? I mean, I know that would be great. Could you do 2?
Potentially, but I mean, right now, I don't know if she's gonna burn time. I mean, like, they're gonna replace Trudy and Trudy's gonna be gone in 3 weeks.
Right.
There isn't necessarily, and the person who's leaving, she's gonna have time on the books.
Yeah, right.
It isn't necessarily gonna be 3 months of direct one-on-one.
Yeah, you gotta figure that out.
Like I said, we don't have anybody else that can train her. It's a unique circumstance. I mean, she dictates reports. From there, she compiles the stats. Certain reports go to the state or the FBI for reporting purposes. I mean, she tracks our mileage. She sends bills to, you know, she handles it all. A paper service comes in from the clerk's office, it routes through that secretary. I mean, she is the cog in our wheel.
I just hope we can write it all down and maybe give the person enough time to go ahead and pick up what's not.
And this, like they mentioned too, I mean, depending on who we hire, it's an up to filled position. I mean, obviously we will, as policy dictates, we'll post internally. Not that I want to steal an employee from another department, but if somebody has an interest, then obviously they will be considered. If it's somebody, and if they come in from the inside, potentially it's a transfer. So maybe there is no lower starting salary, but if it's a new hire, then they will start at the bottom. That does help offset some of the costs. So.
A lot of the notes.
Correct, but without the actual move, then we can't do anything.
I think, well, so you have what you need from us?
We'll just need a recommendation and Darcy will probably put that EDS together for the committee to make that recommendation to the board.
Okay.
Next Tuesday.
This just speaks to, I know you've been speaking about this for months. This was gonna be happening, and it's happening. And it's
My first 90-day evaluation that I gave to the board was one of our key critical concerns. Staffing, the fact that we have an amazing brain trust that can retire, and we're starting to see that transition.
We're gonna sign Trudy over there for the next 30
I
days.
just want to make sure, or before you move on, you are making a motion to recommend, because I don't have one on the books.
Is it a motion or is it a?
I think
Consensus, I
they
believe.
can they make a motion to recommend?
It would be a motion to recommend, we would have done them separately, but you could do them cumulatively.
I would make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Or the plan, yeah, be more specific, planning director and.
Right, it would be overlap for planning director, executive assistant, and administrative assistant.
For the sheriff's department.
Administrative secretary.
We're all in favor? Aye.
Sheriff's office. don't-
Did a work, who seconded?
He did.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
But sheriff's office, not department either. get after me.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. So next on our agenda, update to the board policy.
Yes. This is a very quick, easy update, as required by law in the non-union policy. The current the way it reads currently, new employees are not eligible for personal days until 6 months. Under the Paid Medical Leave Act of that was put into place, yes. Those personal days have to be available after 90.
That I believe was instituted in July.
Actually, the law was instituted back in 2019. There were some discussions on whether it would stand or not, but it does definitely need to be updated now. It's not going away.
Okay, and what action do you need from us?
It's just that when you go to the board, do we need any?
I think we have updated it on the county website because it is legally required. But it would be appropriate to have the committee formally vote to change the policy since that is the board's role. So I believe that the recommendation from the committee should be for the board to formally vote to amend that policy to address this legal requirement.
I would move that the personnel committee approve this policy change and that it be recommended to the board.
Or
All in favor? Aye. All right.
Yep.
And the medical leave is our last,
Yes.
okay?
That I had brought to you last, in October. We had talked about this proposed policy. One of the asks you had was that I reach out to staff members to get their input. I did send this out. I sent it out originally at the end of October to all the department heads. Followed up with another email last week, just saying, hey, please provide your feedback. I got feedback from 4.
Oh, just 4?
Just 4.
okay,
The only, the feedback I got was, looks good to me. The one that said anything different, there was a concern on the policy with the reading of what would happen to the donated time if the person didn't use it all.
Right.
And it would go into, as it reads, an FML, or it would stay in their bank for a future FMLA event. Well, what if they don't have one? So my recommendation would be to replace that and say it would be placed in an employer-managed bank to be used for a future FMLA event, regardless of who it was. It would stay in that certain person's bank.
It could be used for anyone.
Yes.
If not used by
Yes.
that person.
Yes.
And that is approved by the IRS
Yes.
to put it in employee managed bank.
Okay, some of the concerns I heard was that it felt more personal before because people knew they were donating for so-and-so. As long as that portion still,
And this policy does allow you to know who you're donating to,
okay,
but it does have specific requirements that that person has to meet in order to be able to receive those donated hours. Because otherwise you have tax implications to both employees.
as long as the personal element is in there somehow.
Now, Commissioner O'Rourke, you did ask me for some scenarios and I did put them together for you.
well, thank you.
I gave you 2, actually. And I thought I would give them to you today rather than trying to email them to you because
Okay,
they're probably easier to walk you through than to try to have you figure them out. The first one is a deputy from the corrections who has a 40-hour work week and qualifies for FMLA to care for a spouse, child, or an immediate, a family member who has a serious health condition. per the law, that person would be entitled to 12 weeks of FMLA. That person has a bank of 44 vacation, 25.5 comp hours, and 8 personal day hours for a total of 77.5. Their FMLA begins on September 20th, and they would be eligible through December 22nd. So the first payroll, then, the payroll 21, they work 48 hours because the pay period started before the actual event of the FMLA. And then they would use their banked hours to make up their 80.
So wait a minute, are you talking about once
This is
the
the,
12 weeks is over?
no, this is right at the very beginning.
Okay.
The next week, at that point, after that first week, that employee would have 44.5 hours left in their bank. That's where HR would have to step in and say, okay, this person's going to be out until December 22nd. So how much time does that person need and how much is available that's paid? 45.5 hours is available, but that employee is going to need several weeks of FMLA and it would be unpaid because it's not their own serious health condition. They can't get short-term disability or any of, workers' comp or anything like that. So I went through and I looked at each payroll and how many hours would be needed. I calculated in the holidays, you can see, and came up with that person would need 370 hours and 370.5 hours. That's a significant loss of income, and that's one of the requirements from the IRS. So at that point, that's where we would put out an email saying, this person has an FMLA incident and needs donated time. And that's where the staff could then step in.
So the IRS has to approve it.
The IRS doesn't have to approve it. It has to follow certain guidelines. You have to have a significant loss of income. You can't have any days left in your own personal bank, or it becomes a taxable event for you and the donor.
So you use up all your own time.
You have to use all your time. Yes. So this is obviously someone who would definitely need donated hours or they would have a significant impact to
So as long
themselves.
as they qualified, you would send out the email.
Yep.
You are the deciding person based on just these calculations, no other factors.
Well, the FMLA is, there's specific guidelines that say what qualifies as FMLA. And then, yes, we would just, create a calendar to figure out how many hours that person needs and then ask for donations.
What if they need 20 hours? Do they qualify?
If they only needed 20 hours?
Yeah.
If they have an event that, I guess it depends on 20 hours to me, some people is a significant loss of income.
Yeah, I'm just deciding when you decide that it qualifies as a significant loss.
That's your judgment or that's the employee's judgment?
I think it's, if they meet the requirement of FMLA, like they've had a loss, that's kind of one of the qualifying indicators.
Is there a qualification for this qualifies as a loss? You have to lose more than 10 hours or more than 100 hours or?
Well, they have to have used up all theirs, and it has to be a qualifying event that they have some health issue or some related. And FMLA has been the kind of the standard.
Okay. So as long as they
That's been
qualify.
recommended also by Raymond in terms of how they recommend to do this process as well.
Okay.
Now, should that person receive all those hours and then something happened and they came back to work on December 1st, whatever hours were still left in that bank would then be moved to an employer managed bank for the next FMLA event for whoever.
How would you collect the hours? You're gonna send me an email and say, Jim, I need
And you're gonna-
70 hours.
You're gonna fill out a form and you're gonna submit it We have a form that we've used in the past, and that form would probably, with a little updating, work just fine.
Okay, well, yeah, I want to be a little cautious because I don't want to give you 37.5, I want to give you 10. Can I come back and redonate?
That's good to say. Sure. So
I'm sorry, what was
he
your-
gave 10 and he wasn't sure if he was gonna use his, he could donate 10 more later. I think there is a requirement that you need to maintain a certain amount in your bank so that you don't deplete all of your vacation time.
Right.
So-
And that protects you, so that if you have something unexpected, then we're not asking for someone to donate hours to you. I mean,
But there's no minimum requirement or requirement that I donate X amount of hours if I do donate, it's all voluntary.
you have to be able to leave, 40 hours in your bank, but I don't think there was a qualification as far as a maximum you could.
I would just be cautious if I'm going to give you too much, you're going to put it into a bank to somebody I don't know, like, you know, I might be.
Right, but my point is, I wouldn't be able to ask for more than what I projected this person would
Right,
need.
and you're projecting 307.5, okay.
Yep.
So Commissioner O'Rourke, were you kind of also asking, let's say I've donated 20 hours and he comes home December 1st, can I get my hours back? That's it.
No, once you've donated them, they're
It
gone.
goes into a bank.
Oh,
The scenario 2 is a Teamsters union member who works 35 hours, who has a child. So their FMLA qualification is the birth of the child. They are eligible for 12 weeks. Our short-term disability will pay the first 6. So we would not ask for donations for that first 6.
6 weeks?
Yes. That person has 49 hours in their banks. Their FMLA starts, same scenario, September 30th and ends on December 22nd. After that first pay period during that event, there's 14 hours left in their bank. For payroll 22, 23, and part of 24, short-term disability pays. At that point, there's a holiday, but they finish off their leave bank. So the next 3 pay periods would be when we would request for donations.
Well, I appreciate you getting feedback from the staff.
Where do we stand right now, Darcy?
Right now, we don't have a policy.
So we aren't accepting any donations, and no one has asked, has there been a need that we've missed because of this policy change? None.
There could have been. Yeah,
But nobody came.
nobody came forward.
Specifically, yes, right.
Okay, do we need a motion to,
But do we know that we've heard from all the employees though? I mean, you feel like you've given.
I've given them the opportunity. I feel like that has been provided.
And have you addressed all their concerns? You
Um,
know, your-
Yes, like I said, the one that I knew of was the concern that it would sit in their bank until they qualified for FMLA again. And so with your approval, I would change that language to say it would go to a employer managed bank.
Is there gonna be an opportunity to go over this with the employees in a meeting, or, because I guess I fielded quite a few questions or concerns from employees when I met with them one-on-one. And, you know, I have no idea what this, I mean, this is way not my thing. so-
Sure.
But I just sensed more than 4 people being unhappy or having questions and concerns yet. So I just want to make sure that we've heard from people that were used to the other system, were happy with it, and this all got changed kind of abruptly, and I just want it to be a positive change for everybody.
So just to clarify, we do understand why the change happened, because we were notified that it was a legal issue that we were not compliant. So it was not just an arbitrary, it was a predetermined, rationale for why we had to change the process. So with that being said, we did send out information to all the department heads We let them know about the change, why it was required. Darcy's also sent them the 2 follow-up communications to everyone. Certainly, I think, we can have more dialogue, after the process, I think, has changed, because I don't know, we've kind of, I'm just concerned that if we don't make a decision to move forward, then we can't, our hands are tied somewhat too. So it's almost like I'm happy to move forward with something so that we can move it forward, and at least then we have a vehicle for people when they do have an issue. But if there are changes that we need to make it better, then we certainly doesn't have to be the last time we look at it. I think it's just important to get something moving forward so people know that there's options.
Is there a system in place where we do review these on a regular basis?
I think we would have one now once we have a policy.
And first of all, we had to do this to be compliant with IRS. Okay, that's what got us into this. FLMA is a law, black and white. You just added what we can do to help you out. Okay. I mean, the law's there, but you said this is what the employees can do to help someone out if they run out of money or get down to the parameters that you can donate, right? And that's good job. That's
I would support moving this forward to the meeting for approval. And then if people have more concerns, Darcy can always go to the department and talk to people and explain. But I think it's important to have the policy in place.
you gotta have it.
Yeah. And this policy was written by corporate counsel and then updated for the IRS component by the tax experts at Raymond. So it's not like I made this up.
No, but I just do want to share too, that I think that any big changes like this that we get again, we just take it a little bit slower and get more input from staff before we close it, change it or whatever. So I heard that loud and clear. So I just felt bad. I feel bad for this change not being supported by all the staff, the same, and the goodwill that we want to share with each other. So, yeah.
This was by no means intended to punish anyone or isolate anyone or cause any grief. This was to protect Leelanau County.
I think you've done enough.
Okay. So do you need a motion or what do you
I
need?
think it would be wise.
Would you like to make a motion again?
Sure, I would move that we move the board policy 1.07.
I think this is.
Oh, the wrong
this
one,
is-
that don't stick.
Yeah,
Don't- Should we do that one again? I would move that we move the medical sick leave donation policy forward to the executive board.
Just second then, thank you for your
Or,
work on
yes.
this.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Darcy, for your hard work on that.
Thank
you. Okay, I think we've gotten through with the agenda, correct?
Yeah.
We are now ready for public comment. Welcome, Under Sheriff.
So first and foremost, Under Sheriff Jim Kiesel. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the committee. I think you guys are looking at issues that maybe have been overlooked for a long time. And in this format, it's a little less formal. You can ask questions. It's a little more back and forth with whoever is presenting. And one issue that I think has come up just recently with Darcy is the sick, short, and long-term disability policy was discussed. Historically with that policy is probably 20 years old. Well, it's quite old. And when that policy was instituted, the sick day banks went away. A lot of employees who have been here a long time were bought out for 25 cents on the dollar, which is fine. We went to the plan, we accepted the plan. On short-term disability, you get 60% of your pay capped at $500 a week. Probably 80% of the employees, $500 isn't even 60% of their pay. The plan is long since outdated. And it's not a group thing. It's not a negotiation thing. It's a countywide plan that covers every employee. That plan should be looked at to potentially be updated to change those caps that are more in line with 2023 and not 2003 or 2013. I don't know the date, but it's been around for a long time. And it's just short-term side. The long-term side, after you get 2 years out, then it's 60% of your pay capped at like $5,000 a month. That's a little more realistic, but $500 a week covers very few, if any, employees within this building or our building. So just so you're aware. Thank you.
Okay, which policy is that? It's our short-term, long-term.
So we're looking at that. Sounds like we should.
This is the first I'm hearing of this, so
You
look
got it.
at it.
Okay, yeah, can we put that on there?
Go ahead, Jim.
I'll put it on the radar.
Yeah, thank you.
So public comment, two things. Number one with Under Sheriff Kiesel, I'm Jennifer Zwicky, I'm your Chief Deputy Clerk. The short-term and long-term is a negotiated item. So Darcy and Deb can certainly do that during your negotiations next year, but that is a negotiated item. It is driven by the price of your earnings. If you are on short-term and the $500 isn't enough in the week, you can supplement and take your sick and personal time, or I mean, your sick and vacation time. So let's say, for instance, I have 30 days of vacation. I can submit for short-term as well as get my vacation time paid at the same time with no penalty. So I can actually be double paid with that policy.
You can supplement up to 80.
You can supplement the whole entire time. You can use all your banks. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention, two things with the vacation donation. I'm pretty sure it's well aware in this building that affected me. I was the only employee that was affected by determination of not being able to use my vacation time as a donation to an employee that did have a hardship, that has only been here 18 months of employment. And so they did not have the bank for their FMLA leave. I would suggest before you look at your recommendation for Tuesday, your FMLA policy. It states for most individuals other than contracted and negotiated with the Sheriff's Department, that if I go on FMLA leave as a non-union employee, I need to utilize all of my personal time and only 50% of my vacation time. So the FMLA policy that is board approved states that if I have 30 days of vacation, I only have to utilize 50% of those days.
During your leave.
Yep. So I just wanted to,
Start accepting.
well, I'm not quite sure about the accepting of donations. I mean, you know what I mean, within that policy, but your FMLA policy states that you do not have to use it all. It states 50%. So I just thought maybe I would bring that up so that you could look at them together. I'm not sure if that was addressed in this policy and your donation policy. I just thought you might want to, because you have two contradicting policies then. But I did want to let you know, I and another employee were affected by this vacation donation abrupt change in July. Thank you.
Thank you. Trudy Gallo, Planning Director. I appreciate the comments that were made just previously by employees. And I'm not sure if I have this correct, but I want to make sure I made a comment in public after listening to Darcy speak about the sick leave donation policy. I would think it would be a little sad if it's based on donating to a specific person versus putting the money into a bank that could be used. So for instance, if two people have a similar situation, one person gets a certain number of days donated to them by employees and someone else gets half that amount or less. I don't see that as being very fair. So if that is the way it is right now, I think it would be better for employees if it was put into a bank. And then if they qualify, they get assistance out of that bank. And I don't need to know who I'm donating to. If somebody needs assistance and I've got extra hours, I have vacation time I'm not going to use up or whatever, as an employee, I would just like to put them into that bank. And then if they qualify, someone else can pull those out and put it to whoever needs them. So just wanted to make that comment to if it's not that way, maybe consider it to put it into the bank instead of from person A to person B. Thank you.
I think we could have a choice. Because I've heard both sides.
Any other public comments? Thank you very much. Any commissioner comments?
Yes,
Yes.
I think you did a good job today. Stop being there. I think you've done a real good job and, yeah, no question at all.
Gwen, any comments? Well, I want to thank this group for working through these issues with me and I think we're on the right track. And I do appreciate comments from the staff and maybe the public, you know.
And
it's
Siri.
just- And Siri, yes, but I'm optimistic after this meeting today, and so I thank you all for the passion and the energy you brought towards this.